like to welcome you to another segment of the SCORE Business Showcase. Today, we have with us David Laurent with the Laurent Insurance Agency. Welcome, David.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Glad you made it. Glad you're with us.
Yes.
So, what got you involved in insurance?
Well, I was a communication major at Boston College, and from there I did a lot of real estate investing. I worked in television field, like you, but it allowed me to buy some properties, and when you're a real estate agent, you make one sale, and after that sale, you got to make another sale. But as an insurance agent, there's something called residual income, and that was very attractive to me. So I got into, because you sell a policy, and then once it renews, you get that's how you make your money in insurance. You get a residual income, and that was a great thing for me, because in real estate, when you sell one property, and I dealt with a lot of insurance agents as a real estate agent. I'm actually still a licensed real estate agent, but
really?
I just use it for rental property purposes.
Okay.
And
Good.
sometimes I sell a house, and then I do the insurance.
And that brings up about I guess property and casualty.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Do you focus in on that particularly?
Yes, I do property casualty, business insurance, life insurance. I'm actually a life insurance agent with Mutual of Omaha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and as well, as I have my own private P&C shop here in Bridgeport.
Okay, good. Now, when it comes to auto, how can one get the best prices on auto and home insurance?
Well, there's two ways to go about it. You could pick up your phone and call the Lizard, or call one of those big warehouses where they just have someone who's in a call center in India, and they don't know really nothing about your market or nothing about you, or they just work in a formula that they've been given.
Yes.
a script. A lot of them aren't even licensed agents. They just call center representative.
Okay.
Or you can come into my shop, or whoever is a local agent in your area. It doesn't have to be necessarily me, but it's good to have a local agent, because they have your more of your best interests in because if you're if you go with with one of those big shops, they don't really know your market. They don't know who is what the local rules are, what the local laws are, what the local market is. But as a licensed agent, I have over 30 companies that I can put you with.
Okay.
And if you don't like a particular company, or the price goes up on you, I keep them honest. I keep all the companies honest and make sure that you get the right price and you're getting the right coverage. And if something goes wrong, I'm there for you to fall back on.
So it sounds like you keep it personal.
Yes,
right,
yes,
with your clients.
Yes.
That's good.
Definitely.
Now, what is the difference though with a broker and also a captive agent?
Well, a captive agent somewhere like Allstate, Nationwide, State Farm, they can only write, their own product. They can.
Okay.
They're not allowed to go out and shop you. So if their product doesn't fit you for whatever reason, or a lot of them have a niche group of people they like to work with. They're not gonna. If you have a couple blemishes, or you've had an accident that wasn't necessarily your fault. Sometimes they'll say, you're no longer what we want.
So when I drove into that tree last week, they don't want me.
You're no longer our cup of tea, or we want somebody with a perfect credit, with perfect accident record, and we don't live in a perfect world.
Right.
So
Exactly.
So those don't always work out for people, and I can shop you with, I have over 26 companies that I can shop you with, and, have 5 that I mainly work with. But, there's the standard companies, there's excess line companies, and there's preferred companies. So, I find one that works for you.
Now, so we can maybe notify our guests out there, what's the difference between the ones you just mentioned, standard, excess?
Okay.
That type of thing?
Well, so a standard company is a company that just writes somebody like we were just saying, somebody that that just has a regular record. They don't have blemishes. They don't have any DWIs. They don't have any, they never had necessarily had a ticket. They have pretty good credit. They're a standard person. They didn't have a fire in their home. They didn't have a flood. They didn't have a lot of claims. Those are they like to write those type of clients.
Right.
But excess lines is something where the state of Connecticut and every state it has an excess lines where a pool where they put you in where there's all the companies won't write you. You have a right to get insurance, and they put you in. And typically those policies have to be renewed every year. They're written once a year, and they have to be renewed. And then once you're with an excess lines company, you can go back to a standard company if you don't have any any claims or anything happen during that time.
So in other words, they can get out of that pool.
Yeah, you get out of that pool, and they're typically more expensive. And a preferred company is a company that goes after the big kahunas, people with $1 million net worth and 2 businesses, and they got a lot of things going on. So they might give them preferred pricing, or give their employees, make a package deal for them.
Okay, all right, good. Now, as a client, should a person go with an agent or a broker?
Well, interesting. You asked me that because an agent, like we just said, an agent is someone who makes everything personal, who has, who doesn't just have that one, Allstate, Liberty Mutual, or well, not Liberty Mutual. Liberty Mutual is a brokered product, but Allstate, State Farm, Nationwide, those type of companies. Those companies, they can only write those products. They cannot write. They're not a broker. They can't go out and shop you with any other type of companies. Basically, that's the, an agent is someone who's able to shop you with different companies.
Now, as far as our car is concerned, what happens to the comp and collision premium if the car loses value?
Well, as when you have a brand new car, it's worth X amount of dollars in the Kelley Blue Book, and the Kelley Blue Book says this is what your car is worth. So as your car gets older, it's not worth as much as the Kelley Blue Book, and the companies have a ratio where premium as opposed to the value of your car, and as your car gets older, the premium is supposed to go down in ratio, but it doesn't necessarily. But if your car is not, is an older car, you may not want to be paying, for full coverage, because there's 3 parts of your coverage. There's liability, there's comprehensive, and collision. So if your collision is costing you a lot, the state only says you have to have liability. So if that car is not worth what the Kelley Blue Book price says, then you may not want to get that full coverage. But it's your right to get full coverage on you can have a 1989 Honda Civic, and if it's your right to get it. But if your car's a total loss, they're just going to give you the Kelley Blue Book. They're not going to give you the whole cost of that car.
I see. Now, when it comes to those various components that you mentioned, as an agent, you're looking to actually explain that to your client a little bit further. Whereas I guess the larger companies, they might not do that. Or
yeah. Well, I'm gonna pick apart, make sure that you know what you're getting, as opposed to just putting it in a formula and saying this is what the price is, and this is what just you know, I want a Big Mac, and that, you know, I know it comes with sauce and cheese, but you know, I want to make sure it's nutritious. Just something you're getting that's good, as opposed to just consuming something without knowing what you're getting. And when you have liability coverage, you know, actually the state of Connecticut in January, they raised the liability limits to match New York, which is $25.50. It should be $20.40 for liability. Now it's $25.50, and you know, the first number, there's 3 numbers in your liability. There's you know, sometimes sorry about that. Yeah, there's 3 numbers in your coverage, and there's a, you know, typically 100, 300, 100, and the 100 being if you were, liability means what they would pay if you were to injure somebody, what they would pay if you were liable to pay somebody's bodily injury.
Correct.
So that first 100 goes towards the 100,000 they'll pay for if you injured a person in another car, the first person.
Okay.
And then the 300 goes for everyone in the car. They would pay up to 300 for everyone in that car, to you know, for their bodily injuries. And then the last 100 is for the property damage. The property damage, if you know, if whatever car, now cars are costing, you know, like you hit 2 cars, it might be 100,000 these days.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You know, Hondas, you know, some of them cost, you know, 50,000. You know, just for, you know, if you get into the high-end cars like, you know, Jaguar, Mercedes, you know, BMW, those, you know, you hit somebody with one of those cars, or you hit, you know, some parked cars, or you hit somebody's property, they'll pay up to 100,000.
Okay.
And then, you know, their coverage may cover, you know, the rest of that, but that's, you know, it's for the lawyers to decide, you know, once that happens.
I do have a question, just because I know out there, when it comes to insurance, a lot of consumers are confused.
Yeah, about the coverages.
You mentioned about 100, 300, and you said for the first person, that 100,000 is taken care of. So are you saying that that's a total of 400,000, or is it a total of 300,000 that the company's going to pay, actually?
No, it's a total, they're going to pay 100,000 for that first person that's hit in that car, for each car. So if you hit somebody and that first person is injured, they'll pay up to 100,000 for that person.
Okay.
And you know, per vehicle.
Okay.
Not 100 for everybody, you know.
Okay.
But you know, and then the 300 is what they'll pay for everyone in that particular vehicle, for that vehicle.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it can be an expensive proposition.
Oh yeah. That's why you know, we pay a lot for insurance. You know, because you know, that's why a lot of these companies have you know, like a snapshot program that Progressive has, where they put a device in your car that gives you a rate for your particular driving, not everybody in your area. Because, you know, the rates go up based on, you know, the insurance companies have a right to raise your rates, you know, after your policy is completed. So if you have a 6-month policy, your rate may go up because of an accident, or just simply because you live in a certain geographic area that has a higher rate, you know.
So it might be good to get an annual policy instead of a 6-month policy.
Yes, because then it doesn't give the insurance company opportunity to go up on you
every 6 months.
Every 6 months, yes.
All right, so that's a tidbit for you viewers out there. Now, you mentioned about the state minimum. Do we need more than that?
Yes, like typically it covers, the state minimum just covers you, like we said, 25.50 now. They went up from 20.40, and that just covers you if you're, you know, if you know, the basic minimum coverage. But if you have a business, you have a home, you have a lot of money in the bank, you have a crazy teenager at home, you know, you may want a lot more than that, you know, or you may want even an umbrella policy to cover, you know, above and beyond that, for your home and your auto, which covers both your home and your auto. But you know, if you typically, if you have a home, I suggest at least 100, 300. Okay. If you have you know, you have a business, I would go up to 250, 500. It's all individual though.
Yes.
It's based on what you're comfortable with and what your needs are. But basically, it goes down to what your pocketbook can afford. Yes.
Now, you mentioned about an umbrella. I'm sure you're not talking about an umbrella for the rain.
No. An umbrella, you have to have, for an umbrella policy, you have to have 250, 500 liability coverage. And then an umbrella policy will cover you above and beyond that, I guess, for your auto and your home. So it will cover, typically a liability on a home is $300,000. And typically liability on an auto that has an umbrella will be, they won't give you an umbrella policy unless you have 250, 500 liability limits. And then you can buy, for $300-400, which is well worth it. You can, for the year, you can buy a $1 million umbrella policy, which will cover you above and beyond the liability limits of your home and your auto.
That sounds like that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
that's a good idea. Now, what about those individuals that run into some difficulties? They were in an accident, they got a couple tickets. How can they improve their situation?
Well, like what people don't know is just like TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, in life insurance, there's the Medical Information Bureau, MIB. In auto, you have an insurance score, and it's called CLUE, and it's monitored by a company. There's several companies, but the one I deal with all the time is LexisNexis Consumer Reports. They monitor your driving record, and they report to all the insurance agencies. So they all have the same information. A lot of times, people call me and they're like, "Well, I didn't do that, and that's not my fault." And they start explaining it to me. I was like, "Well, let's hold up. It's not me. You were reported by your prior insurance company. It wasn't necessarily me, but I can help you fix that."
So I'm sure your clients sometimes think that, you mentioned about Clue. They probably think they're clueless.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Their insurance score and their Clue report, and they come up with with a formula for how much your insurance will cost you. And a lot of these companies, they're basically, they're a little predatory, like in terms of the cost, because they know that you can't get a company to get insurance for you, and you don't have someone to help you make the right choices. So it's great to have someone that will look at that for you.
Good. Now, we talked about the auto. Let's talk about home. What's the difference between the standard, excess, preferred carriers when it comes to home?
It's kind of similar to auto, but like say for example in Bridgeport, we have a lot of homes with lead, asbestos, different environmental factors that or older homes. And a typical standard line company won't insure you because they don't want to take that risk. They don't want to take the risk of getting a lead or getting an asbestos or a lawsuit, which will expose them to more. They're there to make money. So an excess lines company, I'm going to go in reverse. I'm going to start with the excess lines company and go to the preferred. They have a license from the state to cover you no matter what. Basically, they have to cover you, but they may exclude some things on your house. They may say, okay, everything but lead, we're not going to cover this. If you have a lead lawsuit, we're going to have you sign this exclusion. A lot of people don't read the fine writing when they sign an insurance contract, and a lot of people don't know the things that are covered. But I'll let you.
Like a hurricane or
earthquake. Yeah. Like there's flood insurance, there's earthquake, there's all kind of insurances which are it's not just a package. A lot of things. Oh, I'm getting insurance. I'm covered for everything. You know what I'm saying? But they're specifically written for certain risks.
Yes.
And they're not. And you have to get an endorsement in order to get those other coverages.
Yes, that's good. Good that you mentioned that. Now, how about those people that the carrier drops them?
Oh, and before we go on, a preferred company is, of course, a company like that would, that would take a regular person with a good record, something like Allstate, State Farm, when you get on the high end, you got Crump and Nationwide. Those are companies that are going to take you no matter what. And a lot of those companies, they're not going to take a lot of the homes in Bridgeport, because of those exposures.
Very good. Now, just going back, because there's one question I forgot to ask, and that is going back to the car. If a person has an accident, how long does it take for that to come off their record?
It takes 5 years. It used to be 3 years, but now it takes 5 years for something to come off your record, your driving record. Say you had a DWI. A lot of people, a lot of companies, I put it in the computer and just rejected. We're not touching you with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
Like they're not gonna. No, I just say, listen, I'm gonna find you something else. But I don't say what's on my screen a lot of times. I just, I don't want to panic people.
Right.
Exactly. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. What was the question again?
Well, that was, how long did it take?
Oh, okay, yeah. So it takes 5 years. It used to take 3. A lot of people, they call me. I get the calls all the time. Like, why is this? It was so long ago. I was like, well, in September it'll be 5 years. So let's wait till then, and we'll get you something now, and wait till then and see if I have the opportunity to re-quote them.
Yes.
Once that time happens, a lot. But these other companies, insurance agents also, they make money off of commission. So high premium to some agents might be a little bit motivated. But to me, I'm more concerned that the customer is able to pay their premium,
right?
So they can stay insured. Okay.
Now, going back to the home again, should a person, if they have a incident, should they claim things that are under $1,000?
Not necessarily, because if say you have a small claim, that goes against your insurance score. For auto and for home. If you have a small claim, a lot of people call me, well, my mirror broke off, and should I make a claim? Well, sir, you have $1,000 deductible. If your mirror costs $1,000, maybe but the cost of the companies have a way of getting their money back.
Yes.
They'll get their money back by increasing your premium. And then, when you go to renew, you say, whoa, what happened? Why am I paying this much more? Well, you made a claim, and they have a formula. So a lot of people don't know, when you make a claim on your auto insurance, even if it's an auto, even if it's like the towing, that's a claim. That to them that's a claim. That's like that adds to the formula.
Yes. Yeah. So it sounds like it's pretty interesting. You cover a lot of people, apparently.
Yes.
During that whole process. How about for businesses out there? Do you have anything that they might be interested in? Yeah.
For business, a lot of people come and they're just starting their business and they're asking me what they should have. There's 2 parts. You could have a BOP policy, which is a business owner's policy, which is a package policy which packages a lot of different coverages, or you can just have a general liability policy, where a general liability policy just covers you for slips and falls and just particular things. Just like home, you have different endorsements, different types of businesses. Some businesses can't qualify for a BOP policy because they have a particular type of business which won't fit into that package. But you should have an LLC to protect yourself if you have a business. Get a EIN number with the state. I can walk you through some of those things.
Okay, good. That would be helpful. Now, also for our businesses out there, for being in business, I know it's important to read. Any books that you suggest that some of our businesses should take a look at?
Well, basically, if you have internet access and you go to my website, I have a list of books that you can go. And a lot of the time, you can get them on Audible books, you can get them on Amazon. That's an incentive to go to my website and I have a lot of tips there.
Okay,
it's www.laurenagency.com.
All right, and how can they get in contact with you, too?
You can get in contact with me. You can call my office at 203-614-1234.
Excellent.
So very, very easy there.
Also, you know, here's a book that we're suggesting, and this particular book, it says Men Without Equal and Their Times. Talks about Andrew Carnegie, it's a whole list, Winston Churchill, all right, some very influential individuals that did some things. And also what I found is reading biographies, especially if you're in business. That way you can take a look at these people's mistakes they made and avoid them. And follow their successes that help them in their business.
So Walt Disney, for example, he used life insurance to purchase the Walt Disney Company. So you know,
did somebody die?
No, he had a cash value. See, life insurance isn't just, it's a living benefit and a death benefit. So he used his cash value of his life insurance because it's tax-free. You know, those are things that we can go over as well, you know.
Okay. Any books on that too, by the way, that you suggest? Because I know there's many books on insurance and things of that nature.
Yeah, I believe in biographies too. You know, to me, I mean, like you just someone that does the same thing you want to do. You know, you look them up, and they have they'll have a good perspective on what you need. But like you said, go to my website, you know, www.laurantagency.com, and I'll have a list up there for you.
That's fantastic.
Books. All right,
I'm going to take a look at that myself.
All right, thank you.
You know, it's been a pleasure. Having you up here. You know, when you talk about insurance, sometimes it seems like there's an iron grid that comes over people's.
It's boring. I'm falling asleep talking about insurance.
Exactly.
But when you got to pay that money, you know, it's good to have knowledge about what you're paying for.
Absolutely.
It's something everybody needs.
Yes, and so it's out there for them. They can shop around and take a look and see what best fits them. But also, I like that personal aspect also. So once again, all right, we'd like to thank you.